Kampala has a daytime population of over 2 million people. Many of them use public transport, a boda, taxi or bus to get to town. According to Uganda Revenue Statistics of 2019, Ugandans import over 50 cars every year. This means the number of cars on the road can only keep increasing, and with this comes an increase in the level of pollution. But the lockdown appears to have reversed this trend. The entire city looks like a ghost town, with limited number of vehicles on the road, and according to air quality scientists, pollution levels in Kampala and the country at large have dropped.
We notice a drastic drop generally in all the locations, especially in the morning hours. And that drop was about 60% pollution levels compared to the 2 weeks before the lockdown period. That is the days before 19th, going backward. We also compare that directly with what the situation was last year, and it actually, was confirming that that drop was unique to this period. We also did a daily, variation, understanding how pollution has been varying in a typical day, basically the daily variations. Yes, and again on that one, it was giving us about 40% drop in pollution levels compared to the pre-lockdown period, 2 weeks prior to lockdown.
Apart from cars and factories that emit plumes of fumes into the space, research shows that domestic energy requirements also contribute to air pollution, with 90% of households in Uganda and the entire sub-Saharan Africa still relying on charcoal for cooking and heating.
WHO has mapped out 5 specific pollutants they call classical pollutants that are classical because of their importance in terms of the health effects. And these are gases and particulate matter. Now the gases are nitrogen dioxide, which primarily comes from cars, sulfur dioxide, and ozone, which is a secondary pollutant. And then the particulate matter is mainly solid dust particles of really very small varying sizes.
The 24-hour air quality variation was based on over 7 monitoring centers that AirCo set up in various parts of Kampala, Bugolobi, Deo Okure, Seguku, and Wachiso, among others.
We find particularly informal settlement areas, like what we ordinarily refer to as slums, tend to be very, very vulnerable in terms of the pollution exposure. And this is largely influenced by the choice of fuel they use, which is largely, again, biomass, and then the housing infrastructure that limits pollution dilution.
So how accurate is the data?
For this particular assessment analysis, we are trying to benchmark with the monitoring station at the U.S. Embassy. So among the 7 locations that we mapped out, the U.S. Embassy was actually one of them.
The meteorological factor is another aspect which contributes to air quality. Research shows that during wet season, the rains suppress the pollution levels. However, before the lockdown, pollution levels dropped for only 1 day in November 2019 during the rainy season, which underscores the contribution of the social distancing measures put in place by government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Although many countries all over the world, including India, have recorded great improvement in air quality, experts want policymakers to consider public transport reforms.
The first option is mass transit systems. If you get buses on our roads, one bus could easily replace about 4 matatus on the road, and that's already a huge impact on the number of vehicles we have on our roads. We also would like to see an introduction of more non-motorized transport systems. We know that KCCA is already piloting some of this, but would like to see more of this in our cities. This could have a big impact on air quality going forward. The other option is also increasing access to clean energy for the households, so that we can reduce any emissions coming from the use of rudimentary energy sources that is used for cooking.
According to experts, pollution is always high in the morning due to the many people going to town, then reduces during the day and increases towards evening when people are going home. In the fight against COVID-19, there is also a lift peak from the lockdown.
We know that there's a study which has been in preprint that has been put out by Harvard University School of Public Health that actually shows that the counties in the US that have history of high pollution levels have recorded higher COVID-related mortality rates than the other counties that have low pollution levels.
Before the lockdown, Kampala was always a mess. Roads full of thousands of bodabodas, taxis, trucks, buses, and private vehicles, to mention but a few. And these largely contribute to air pollution that translates into poor air quality that is registered in this city almost every year. Now, experts are calling upon government to factor in the mitigating measures, especially for the newly created cities, in order to curb the pollution problem, which is perilous to human life. Sudil Yaruhanga, NTV.